Today on Brown Enough, I am joined by Yanely Espinal, also known as Miss Be Helpful, financial educator, advocate, and author of Mind Your Money, a book that each and every one of you has to read. Yanely is on a mission to make financial literacy clear, compassionate, and actually useful, especially for communities that were never taught the rules of the game. We talk about money as a tool, not a measure of worth, about debt, credit, generational wealth, and how everyone can save to become a millionaire.
It's like, bro, if we can put people onto this early, I think a lot of people wouldn't be in so much pain in stressful financial situations when it comes time to talk about mommy retiring or tia retiring or my primo over here, my cousin is getting to an age where, and no money, no savings, no investments, but they didn't know. So we have to start talking about these things.
Unlearning the shame that keeps so many of us stuck. This conversation is about empowerment, access, and how understanding your money can be an act of self-respect and collective care. All right, enjoy. Make me rich. That's how I'm starting. How do you make people rich? Also introduce yourself.
Hi. Well, so my name is Yanely Espinal. I am a financial educator. I started my career after college as a teacher. So technically I'm trained in teaching early elementary, so like 3rd and 4th grade. But I realized that there's no financial education in like the school system. So I knew I had to pivot out. When I finished teaching, I realized there really was not a lot of financial literacy education in the school system. And so I was like, you know what? If I keep teaching, this is great. I love what I do and everything like that. But 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 100 years, nothing's going to change. Like the entire public education system still going to stay like the status quo stays the same. So I realized, okay, I'm going to step out and see how I can make change. And so I've pivoted my whole career to financial literacy education, became a financial education advocate, essentially. And then I work now to train teachers to teach financial literacy. I published a book about financial literacy, have content on social media about financial literacy. So really pretty much financial educator all around.
And how much of this was related to like, I need to get the bag because someone else can't get it for me? Or is it, what is that? I think about my first credit card was
college.
I also think, it
wasn't college
honestly,
for you?
It was a real credit card, but I got like a Macy's. My mom was like, I think this Macy's credit card will give you credit. And I don't actually know if that's true.
That is true.
It is true?
She was right, but it's a really bad way to start.
Yeah, so she got me a Macy's one. But I also think about my parents a lot. Like they didn't know.
Yeah. Now I'm like, they were doing the best they could with what they knew. Like, that's how my parents are too. And so for me, it's funny because I feel like now I'm in that zone of like, I know that the more money I make, the more impact I can have. I know that like the easier my life is, like the more I have energy to do more good and to fight the fight, right? Like, I get that. But when it started out, it really wasn't like, I need to go get the bag. I can't be poor anymore. Like, it really wasn't. It was just the fact that I was pissed off. Like, I felt like, how is it possible that I was one of those kids that was told to do everything right, to do everything this way, to go to school, get A's, graduate, honors, get a scholarship to college, go to an Ivy League school, then get your master's, all those things. And I did all of that. And somehow I still never once was taught what the hell is a stock, what the hell is a Roth IRA, what is a brokerage account, what's a credit score, why does it matter, what's a good one or a bad one, what's the difference between a checking account, a savings account, what the hell's a high yield savings account. I mean, like, how is it possible, really, truly think about it, that you have a higher education degree in this country and it does not include anything about financial content? Like, to me, that shit is wild. So I was just like, you know what? Okay, I feel like the system has to change. I want to do something about it. And, that's kind of where like the drive was. Every day when I get up, how am I going to make sure that the next generation isn't repeating the exact same shit, the exact same cycle that I went through? Because we all complain, but then we don't change the system. So.
And how much of that is related to, like, I know the answer to this. And I hate that it always goes back to this, but I think of growing up, my best friend, white kid, his uncle hooked him up with a whole set of stocks and would sit him down and talk to him about them. And he couldn't touch them until he was 18, but he would like, this is why I got you this. This is what this means. This is what this is, my parents didn't know any of that. Like my dad tells this story about a man who told him to invest in a new company called Home Depot. And he said, I want you to put in $10,000. Which is terrifying to someone who doesn't understand.
It's insane. You sound insane.
And he's like, trust me. And he's like, trust you? Like, that's like a big chunk. That's like food on the table. And he didn't do it. And my dad thinks about it because he regrets it because it would have been a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so how much of this is handed down and is related to race and this thing we talk about, generational wealth?
Yes. Well, I think what I would call it is even bigger than that is social capital, which overlaps a lot with racial inequities and social inequities for socioeconomic status. But generally speaking, even when you are Black and your family doesn't necessarily come from wealth, you may still have social capital if your parents had a corporate career path, or if they happen to have, an opportunity to get a home in the right neighborhood and make friends with people in the community that were on a corporate career path, right? So it's actually more about who you know than it is about like, oh, like, am I, this, that. That being said, social capital really comes from the people that are in your family first, right? Like your immediate family. Let's be real. The term Nepo baby didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't come from nowhere. And when you are in college, for example, and you're looking for an internship over the summer, which a lot of college students look for internship opportunities, so they're not like just wasting time over the summer. A lot of times they'll be like, my uncle got me an internship at this company. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that social capital directly does end up leading to financial opportunities,
financial
and to resources.
capital.
Yes, and it directly translates to financial capital down the line. So I would say yes, 100%. It's directly related to class. It's directly related to race. Directly related to all the things that allow you to access a certain social group that is, a certain echelon of people that have opportunities and access. So I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that the public school system was supposed to be the great equalizer. It was supposed to be a place where you go to a public school, all those factors and identity factors, it doesn't matter, because here in the school, you're all learning the same thing and we're all preparing you in the same way, so everybody has an equal footing. And that's just not happening when you ignore the number one biggest piece of your life after school, and when you decide to become professional, whatever career path you follow, which is your earning potential. So I just felt like that was the piece that I really was like, I have to address that piece, because, sure, I could go on YouTube, I can sell books, I can sell courses, I could do all the things. I could become a financial advisor for the extremely wealthy. I could become extremely wealthy. But again, like I said, next generation isn't going to have a different experience than the one that I had. So, over the past few years, I joined this organization that has a team of like 4 or 5 of us that essentially work to get state laws passed. So when I first started this in 2018, there was only about 5 states that required a semester course for every high school student. Like, you could not graduate high school if you didn't take the full semester class about personal finance. And now in 2025, December of 2025, the end of this year, we're at 30.
You went from 5 to 30?
30 states.
In 7 years.
That's right.
Wow.
And next year, we're going to get a handful more, because it's a movement.
You're running out of states.
That's the goal, right? We want to work ourselves out of a job. Like, we got all 50. Boom. Like, that's the goal. But it's really hard, because you got to get all these people on board, and you have to get, the education people.
Why wouldn't someone want to be on board?
It's not that they're not on board with the idea. It's that it's really hard to talk about it in practice. Like, most people immediately are going to start asking all the questions. What class is going to have to go to make room for this?
Okay, so your day's full. So I got to get rid of something and put something in.
Something's got to go. And as soon as you start taking out certain things, all the people who support that thing are going to say, absolutely not. You're going to take away arts classes? Are you kidding me? These electives are the only thing keeping our kids coming to school. You are not touching the electives. Okay, fine. Well, then let's take away one of the social studies classes. American history? We're in a time where kids need history more than anything. And so now everybody comes out the woodwork. Like, okay, well, ethnic studies. No, we need ethnic studies. And it's like, okay, you know what? Something's got to give. So I think that's the hardest battle, is where are we going to put this puzzle piece? We recognize that it's equally as important as biology and algebra, but where is it going to fit? And so every single state has a completely different formula for how they do it. Some states count it as a math credit towards graduation. Some states require it as a social studies class for one of your 4 social studies classes. Other states say it can either be an elective, math or social studies. Like, it really looks different depending on where you are in the country.
Is there a state you're in that surprises you, and a state that you're not in that doesn't surprise you?
100%. I mean, I'm super shocked that we're not yet in New York. Like, how is the financial capital of the world, and also the leader in public education, one of the leaders in the country around education? Put those 2 things together. How are we not doing financial education in New York? It's wild. So right now, the Board of Regents in the state of New York has like a program, like a plan that they're putting together, which has some financial literacy like sprinkled in. Like, it says, it's required that you teach it somewhere along their K through 12 journey is like, no, that's not enough. That's like, that's just leaving the status quo and saying we did something, we changed something. You didn't change anything.
Wow.
It has to be a semester course, just like algebra, biology, just like all the other full semester classes. So we're definitely going to fight in New York. We're going to try to get that done in 2026. And then a state where I'm shocked that it is, honestly, just generally speaking, most of the states in the South. You would be surprised, like Louisiana, yes. Virginia, yes. Florida, yes. Georgia, yes. And I'm like, how we got all these states and yet we're waiting for New York, we're waiting for Maryland, we're waiting for Illinois, we're waiting for like Washington State. Like, what's up? It's so weird. It's so weird to me.
In my head, I look at those states in the South and I think, well, they're full of people who have social capital and know how to sort of hand down money and resources and ideas.
You know, maybe that's why it worked. Maybe that's why the argument was like, we really need this. You know, and I noticed too that the biggest shift happened right after COVID, which is interesting. So first, for context, the first state ever to require this by law was Utah in 2008.
Whoa.
2008, right? That makes a lot of sense.
Way before you're doing the work.
And in 2008, everybody was like, everybody was talking about Occupy Wall Street and like the Great Recession. And it was this whole thing around like the financial system isn't working. Like we need something to fix it. It's like, okay, well, let's educate people. Let's avoid bankruptcies by teaching them up front what they need to know. And so from Utah, it ended up spreading a couple more states. But then nothing happened. 2008 all the way to 2018, only 4 more states adopted it after Utah. So we're talking about 10 years of really pretty much nothing. And then 2020 hit, COVID, and it was like, again, another recession that was really a hard hit on families financially. And I think that's when people were like, oh, shoot, we can't ignore this anymore. Like, people need to know how to save and why it's important to have savings and why credit card debt is actually so dangerous. And like all of this stuff is so important because when COVID hit, there were so many families that just were not prepared for that. I think a lot of us, we just were like, what the hell? We didn't see it coming. And financially, people lost jobs, didn't have money. Like it was rough.
I know that you teach, share, investing.
Yes.
Because correct me if anything I'm saying is wrong.
Yeah, go for it.
I've gotten this from your book. One, like, how do you get to the book? But also, you're not a believer in like, you have to have a job where you're making millions of dollars a year. You're a believer that like knowing how to invest can separate you from someone else. And we've all heard the story of like the athlete who gets the bag and has no money when they retire.
Or even before they retire, they go bankrupt. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is this, it's all about time, right? If your goal is to become rich overnight, then of course having the job that pays you $1 million a year is going to make that a lot more accessible and attainable and realistic for you. Because if you just live off of a tiny fraction of what you make in a year and invest all the difference, you'll be able to retire in 5 years. You'll be able to retire in 3 years. But most people aren't earning those amounts of money. So it's not fair for us to have discussions about that as if that was the real goal. Because, like, let's be real, 80% of the population is not going to be making that amount of money in their lifetime, let alone in 1 year of their life. So I just feel like what we should do is look at what is realistic, what was a median income, and is there a path to become wealthy and comfortable and retire with dignity with that median income? I think most people would say no, and that's false. There is a very clear, simple path for you to be able to retire with dignity, with a median income, even a low income. The problem is you need time. You need a lot of time because you have a little bit of money. If you have a lot of money, you only need a little bit of time. It's, the inverse relationship. So at the end of the day, that's why I focus so much. The investing content that I focus on is long-term approach to investing, because when you start playing around with the, get rich quick scheme type stuff, that's super high risk. And then what happens is you end up losing all your money. So while for every story, like your dad's story about Home Depot, there's another story of somebody who did put $10,000 and that company went under. Yeah. And they were like, I will never invest again. Investing is a scam. And it's like, it just really depends on the experience that you had and whether that particular company was profitable, ended up paying off or not. So those are high risk situations. Potentially high reward like Home Depot, but also potentially could be the next whatever company that went under, Toys R Us or whatever, right? So we have to be really careful about how we talk about investing, because there's a lot of people out there trying to sell you something quick because they know that's what you want, but it's not what you need. It's not really what's realistic.
And so what are these long-term, I like this, median income? Is it sit and forget? Like do it,
right.
what is that?
Yeah, I say set and forget is probably like the like phrase that people use to describe the approach. But basically, it means that you're going to find groups of stocks instead of trying to go out there and pick them one by one. Because it's really freaking hard for you to find, first of all, the time and also the knowledge, the strategies, the right approaches to be able to analyze a company's financial records, to be able to look at every single detail of a company, of how they're doing financially, and then be able to make an assessment about whether that company is going to be successful in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. Let alone, you don't even know what's going to be successful in 5 or 10 years, right? Because AI, technology is changing so much that a company that's hot now might be obsolete in 5 years. Mm-hmm. So we have to be very careful when we talk about cherry picking, when we talk about picking stocks or like studying or analysis of stocks. Like, there's a certain place for it, but at the end of the day, if you're an average everyday person, you go to work, you have your friends, your family, your kids, your husband, your wife, you're living a pretty, I would say, ordinary, normal life, and you just want to be able to make sure that you're not gonna run out of money or not have enough, then you want to just find groups of successful stocks. And so those are called funds. And there's a lot of different types of funds.
Index funds.
There's index funds, there's exchange traded funds, and then there's actively managed mutual funds. Those are the worst. Stay the hell away from the actively managed mutual funds. And the simple fact, the reason why I say stay away from them for average everyday people is just because of the cost, the fees that you pay for just somebody. To be in them. Because the actively managed means there's an active manager. There's a guy with a suit and tie, most likely sitting on Wall Street somewhere, who's picking the stocks that are going to go into that fund. Versus with an index fund or an exchange traded fund, you get rid of that guy, you pay fees for automation. Automation is significantly cheaper. So they'll go look at a list of stocks that have been vetted, that meet this criteria, that are like the honor roll stocks of the stock market. Those are things like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 1000, the Russell 2000. These lists of stocks exist because they're already vetted for being excellent in terms of performance and financial qualifications. So because these companies are already on a list, index funds and exchange traded funds will just say, hey, we're going to take that list of stocks and we're going to put them in this group, in this fund, and we're going to take your money and put it in that fund for you and charge you a fraction of the cost that active manager is charging you to most of the time pick the same stocks or similar ones and charge you 10 times, 15, 20 times more. So over time, that adds up. So if an index fund will charge you 0.08%, that means for every $100 that you put in, they take 8 pennies, right? An active manager will charge you 2%, 1%, which is $2, $1 off of every 100. So people think, oh, that's not that bad. He's taking $1, I get the other $99. But compared to 8 pennies,
yeah, it's a lot.
And then compound that over 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years of you investing. Let's say you end up having $1 million portfolio in 30 years. They will have taken minimum $200,000, $300,000 of that because of that 1 to 2% compounding every year over time. Versus if you had just went with the 0.08%, the very small index fund or ETF fees, you would have the majority of that million. You would maybe give away $10,000 or $12,000 in costs instead of hundreds of thousands in those fees.
Can we do like imaginary math? So yeah. I'm 20 years old, 30 years, I want to have $1 million untouched.
Yep.
Not anything I've earned.
Yep.
How much do you think I'm minimum investing per year?
Well, the older you get, the more it's going to be. So the better it is to start at 20, right? So let's say you start at 20 and then you stop at 40 or you stop at 60. That's 40 years, right? Which most people retire 60, 65. So if you start at 20, by the time you're 60, you've been investing for 40 years. If you just put $75, $100 from every check, that can actually get you to $1 million in that 40 years. But if you wait until you're 30, now you have to put 500. And if you wait until you're 40, now you have to put 2,000 because otherwise you're not going to be able to do it in 15 years or 20 years. You had 40 years and half of it is gone by the time you now wake up and say, I want to start.
75 per check. That's so feasible, so doable.
But pull out your internet on your phone. This is what I love to tell people to do because we could talk about the numbers all day, but when you see the math, you're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And you can play around with the numbers. So pull up the internet, go to I always search up compound interest calculator. Anybody at home could do this. Anybody watching this or listening, pull out your phone, go to your laptop, type compound interest calculator into the whatever search engine that you use, and click on a compound interest calculator. You just need a couple of pieces of information. So let's see it. Bam. So the first thing is the initial investment. So let's say you're starting with $40, $50. Let's put $50. Monthly contribution is how much you're going to add every month. Let's put 100. And so that's what, 50 per paycheck if you get paid every 2 weeks. How many years? We're going to say 40 years investing this way from 20 to 60 years old. Estimated interest rate. This is where people don't know what to type.
Yeah.
If you go with something like an index fund or an exchange traded fund, those have average return rates that over 10 years and 20 years end up being roughly about 10%, 9 to 10%. So it's not like we're making 500, 400% returns.
But it's consistent.
But it's consistent. So if you put in here 9%, just to be a little safe, then hit calculate. All right. So that will get you to almost $500,000.
That's what I mean. Who's showing you this? Nobody.
Now, again, that's $50.
Yeah.
$50, which is what? $25 every Friday? I got teenagers who spend more than that at Starbucks.
Yes.
I got work with college students who spend more than that
Roblox.
on beer.
My nephew spends it on video games.
Listen,
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, let's say you were to double that and you were to put $200 a month instead of just $100 a month. That automatically gets you to $115,000, $112,000, $812,000. So
wow.
Little bits of $20 more every Friday could be the make or break in terms of you getting to $1 million. And not only that, but look,
literally the $7 cappuccino.
And not only that, but the thing is that, look, that's from 20 years old, right? But once you turn 30, 35, you're going to be able to put more than just 50 a week or 20 a week. So that's just to start. It's only going to be like incrementally more when you start earning income, when you start actually getting a bonus check, income tax refund.
Making your own coffee.
Budget, make your meal prep at home, right? Cut all the unnecessary things, which is something we should talk about because that was a huge wake-up call for me. But you start making these lifestyle shifts, you start increasing your income. Focus on what it is that you're really freaking good at and make more money doing that. Because if you try to make more money picking stocks and trading, and it's like, even if you made 1,000% return, you would have to sustain that result again and again. You would have to keep doing that. That's really impossible to do. Versus all you have to do is get better at what you do. Get really good at your craft. Whatever it is, move up and up and up. Make more money doing that. And the more you make, the more you can invest without it hurting. Like when I was a teacher, $40K a year, I couldn't really invest, $20,000 a year because I was only making $40K. But once I started making $100K, I'm like, oh yeah, I could put $20K. I could invest $20K and live off of $80K. That doesn't hurt as much. That doesn't really hurt, But that's the problem. People focus on how do I get rich quick instead of how do I live a life where I can do something I'm really good at that I love, create value in the world, increase my income through that, or find other ways to bring income, start a business, side hustles, and then all that extra money, invest it. Because the more you invest over time, the faster you can reach that big number. Maybe it's 1 million for you. Maybe it's 2 million. Maybe it's 3 million. But the point is, once you hit that number, you're going to have the ability to say, I don't really think I want to work anymore. I think I'm going to go part-time, or I'm just going to start pursuing my passions. And then I can take out, the rule is that you can take out 4% from your total amount of investments and live off of that every year without running out of money from that amount. So for $1 million, you could take out 4%. That would be $40,000 that you could take every year without running out of money from that million. Because you take out 40,000, but then the investments keep growing. And the next year you take out 40, it keeps growing. So if you have 2 million, you can live off of $80,000 a year without having to add money or work. That's kind of amazing for communities like ours. Like, bro, if we can put people onto this early, I think a lot of people wouldn't be in so much pain and in stressful financial situations when it comes time to talk about mommy retiring or tia retiring or my primo over here. My cousin is getting to an age where, and no money, no savings, no investments, but they didn't know. So we have to start talking about these things.
Sadly, I mean, it's also like the funeral that comes up and know who's going to pay for it and things that actually end up, we don't think about but cost money. I think a big part of this is also related to retirement. Sounds like a dream far off. And we're really bad, we actually know this scientifically, at investing in for a future
I
don't
goal.
know that I'm going to have 40 years.
Right.
So why would but I have Starbucks now.
Yes.
And so I think there is some also game of this set and forget. Just leave it alone.
100%.
You don't have it. It's not there.
It's not there.
You don't have it. Keep doing it.
Right.
Stay consistent. Because then should you, God willing, and I know you will, get to the day where you're 60 years old, I hope you don't have to work as hard as you did when you were 20.
That's right.
And you're 65, and I hope you don't have to work as hard as you did when you're 20 or you're 70. Now, if you're working because you found something you love, different. You know, like you're just, it's joy.
It's very different. So two things that brings up for me. One is retirement is not an age. And I hate talking about it that way because it's just the way we've always done it. 60, 65, that's that's retirement age. Retirement age is not a thing. Retirement is a dollar amount. And once your investments or your assets hit that dollar amount, you can retire that day. You could be 41, you could be 27, you could be 39. It's not an age, right? So if you say all I need to live comfortably is $80,000 a year, then you need $2 million in assets to be able to pull out 4% of $80,000 a year without running out of money. So how quickly can you get to $2 million? If you start at 21, if you start at 30, if you can get there 15, 20 years if you're aggressive, if you side hustle, if you start a business, if you work and move your way up and take a lot of your income and invest it instead of spending it all on crap. So, because I bought a lot of crap. So for me, it's like, let's change the conversation around retirement. And let's talk about it as a dollar amount. Everybody has a different dollar amount.
I like that a lot. Like, what do I need a year to take out and let the other stuff continue to invest and do its work?
Yes.
What would be my year amount?
Some people call that your FIRE number, because FIRE is this whole movement called Financial Independence, Retire Early.
FIRE.
So once you hit that FIRE number, let's say it's $2 million, you already know that you have $80K a year for the rest of it. If it's only $40K for you, then you hit $1 million. Once you hit $1 million, you got $40K, and you know you hit that FIRE number, so you know what you can do. Now, what I'll say is maybe there's an in-between, right? Because the second point I was thinking is that a lot of times I talk to people that are 42, 45, 47, and they look at me and go like, girl, please, too late for me. If I was supposed to start when I was 20, well, then there's no point, there's no point. Might as well YOLO. I don't even know, how long I have. And it breaks my heart because I'm like, you should still do
Start
everything you can, because let's say you only end up hitting $500,000 instead of $1 million. Isn't it amazing to be able to tell your boss, I'm cutting down my hours, whether you like it or not, because you don't need that paycheck. And if he says that doesn't work, you're fired, well, then you can go get a part-time job as a barista at Starbucks just to have healthcare and give you a little bit of pay, because you have that $500,000 to give you a monthly income, a yearly income, right? So even if it means you have half or 30% of what you need, that even just changes the way you move. It gives you this confidence, right? Finances, for me, the biggest thing it has given me is this confidence to be able to say, what do I really want? Not what do I have to do because I have to do it. Like, because my boss said I need to do this because this job's... No, like, I'm moving the way I want to move because my money gives me this confidence, this safety net to know that, hey, if it fails, I got some money here that will make sure I'm good. Like, it gives you that extra safety net that, like, you sleep a little better knowing if anything were to happen, it's not like you're going to be on the street. And if you have family that's willing to take care of you, that's doubles the safety net, because a lot of us don't have that. For example, my parents are looking at me like they're going to live with me. Like, I can't live with them. Like, and so at the end of the day, if your parents have home ownership, if your siblings have home ownership, if there's somewhere in your family where you know that if, God forbid, things got bad and you could go lay your head, that is double the safety net. And you adding money to that just means that you're really giving yourself the ability to regulate your nervous system and find out what is that I want to do. Not like, go, I have to do this, otherwise I'm not going to be able to pay the bills, Like, you move out of that mindset, which is, I think, the biggest gift we can give Black and brown people and people who have been struggling financially for a really long time. Like that.
Calming their mind, the noise.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on, like, Acorns, the Robin Hoods? I've read articles that, like, they are single-handedly ruining the market. Like, individuals being able to do it is bad.
Yeah.
But then isn't that the whole freedom we're talking about? I've also read articles that they take advantage of people with no research knowledge,
right?
Like, they just say, do this, spend your money here. And so what are your relationship to those apps? Are those bad apps or those good apps?
I'm a fan of discount full service brokerages. So that would be your Fidelity, your Vanguard, your Charles Schwab. I like these guys because they have full service brokerage service. That means everything that you might need. Retirement. They have, Roth IRAs. They also offer brokerage accounts for kids, custodial accounts, all of these different types of investment accounts for different purposes. You want an education account, 529 plan, they have everything, right? Versus when you go to Robinhood or Acorns, they have very limited accounts available, period, first of all, because they're like the new players in the space. So they have to, with regulation, they kind of have to slowly add things and grow, and they're not going to be allowed proud to just do everything that the full service discount brokerages do. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is these guys are in the business of making money. Fintech apps, look, they're technology companies. At the end of the day, they're in the business of making profit. So if they tell you it's free, it's not free. It's never free. They're lying. And that misinformation is legal. It's okay for them to call themselves free because technically you're not seeing a fee attached to what you buy. But here's what happens. There's a middleman in the middle and you just don't see that transaction. So let's say the stock that you want to buy is $10.50. They will take your $10.50 from you. But they will actually buy it for $10.40. You just don't know that. So now they get it for $10.40. That 10-cent difference, you think, I don't care, it's 10 cents. Think about that for millions and millions of users are every day trading on their platform. All those fees add up to all the profits that they make and also that they help their partners. They have partners like Melvin Capital and some of these big broker dealers that basically execute the trades because Robinhood doesn't execute the trades. They take your information and they sell it. They sell your trade to somebody else for $10.40. Then the 10-cent difference they keep. So that's a game of, for me, shady. That's shady. I think that's shady. And so for me, I always say to people, if you see something that says it's free, that's a red flag for me.
That's what I say about Instagram all the time.
It's true. You're the product. You're the product. So, and that's the same thing with Robinhood. You are the product, and they're selling your trades to broker dealers, and then those differences, small differences, add up, and they make millions of it. They make so much profit off of that. It's crazy. And also, they are limited in what kind of accounts they offer. So, personally, I'm not a fan. The Acorns model is a little different. What they do is they round up the change, or they charge you a flat dollar amount every month. Let's say $1 a month or $2 a month. Now, in theory, that's like, oh, great. Like $1 a month, that's $12 a year. That's great. Okay, but let's do the math. Let's say every single time you make a purchase and you rounded up the change, right? Say $10.75, then you invest 25 cents. If it's $11.01, you invested 99 cents. Keep adding all the change from all those purchases that you're making and it adds up. Let's say in a year, how much money from all that change do you really think you've invested in a year? Yeah. Be generous. Let's say $40. Right?
Oh, that's all you think it comes to?
Change? Like, we're talking about a bucket, and every day you come home and you put the change in your pocket, and they're like, every transaction.
It takes a while to fill up the bucket, yeah.
So now let's say you take all the pennies out at the end of the year, and you put it in the Coinstar machine, and how much money? Yeah. Let's say it's $100, to be really generous here. You get $100. Now, Acorns charges you $1 every month. So $1 times 12 months is $12.
And if you only put 100
divided by 100, you're paying 12%.
Yeah.
And remember those index funds and ETFs, exchange traded funds that I said where you were paying 8 pennies for every $100? They're taking $12. So the only way Acorns really makes sense is if you're investing such a large amount of money that $1 or $2 a month is such a small, tiny percentage, like almost, nothing. And that's not most of the people using Acorns. Those people have like wealth managers and people that help them invest. So personally, I just don't like those platforms. I think if you want to invest for your kid or for yourself, go to a full service discount brokerage like Vanguard, create an account.
And they don't charge money, or they do?
They do, but the fees are like those very low fees that we talked about. So 0.08, 0.2, 0.01, like anything for me when it comes to the funds that you're buying, always look at the fees. And they don't call it fees because if they called it a fee, it would be too easy. It would be too obvious for you, right? Imagine going to the store to shop and they don't call it a price tag. They call it something random. Okay, in investments, the fund has a fee. It's called an expense ratio. So anytime you're going to go buy a fund, let's say you're looking at a Fidelity fund that buys the 500 biggest companies in America that are the most successful, S&P 500. So Fidelity has an S&P 500 index fund from Fidelity. You're looking at Fidelity, S&P 500 index fund. Then you have to go to the expense ratio to see how much do they charge you to invest in that. If it's 0.0 something, 0.08, 0.09, 0.02, we love it. We love those pennies for every 100. That's great. But if it's 1.2, 1.65, that's dangerous because we talked about how over time that takes away hundreds of thousands of dollars from $1 million portfolio. So most people don't even know what the expense ratio is and they don't even look at it. And this is true for any investment fund. That means in your 401k plan. Look at the funds inside your 401k plan. Look at them, click on them, or Google them.
And no one probably does. Very few people actually
Usually
look
it
at that
is.
stuff. Yeah.
Usually it auto puts you into
Yeah.
automatically. Anything inside your 401k plan, whatever it is, even if it's an S&P 500 index fund, you should know what is the expense ratio. What fee am I paying? Because if it's really high, you have the choice to contact your 401k plan provider and say, can you get me out of that investment fund and put me in one with a lower expense ratio? Because I don't want to be giving away my money to when I can keep it instead. Like, it don't make no sense. So I always tell kids, like in high schools and colleges, when I work with the students, I tell them, look, these investment funds, they're all very similar. They have very similar stocks inside. The investments are very similar. The difference is how much you pay. So it's like going into Old Navy, going into the Gap, going into Lululemon, going into Express, right? They all got a black sweater that's 100% cotton. But the price tag on they look exactly the same. Black hoodie, zip up, 100% cotton, all black. The difference is the price tag, my friend, the brand label associated with it. So once we learn that concept, we know to look at the fund, what is in it, what kind of stocks are in there, are these good companies? Cool. What's the expense ratio? If it's too high, I'm not, I can find a similar fund with similar companies with a much lower expense ratio and keep my hard-earned money over time.
And everyone talks about Roth IRA, and that is?
It's not an investment, it's an account. So if you wanted to buy these investment funds that we're talking about, like an index fund or an exchange traded fund, right? You need to have an account. Otherwise, you just can't buy investments. You can't just go to the bank and be like, can you buy me a stock inside my checking account? No, that's not how it works. A checking account holds cash. A savings account holds cash. An investment account, it has a fancy name, is a brokerage account. And the only way you can open a brokerage account is if you have an investment, you have a relationship with an investment firm. So that would be, a Robinhood, a Fidelity, a Vanguard, right? They allow you to open a brokerage account, and there's a bunch of different types of brokerage accounts, right? A 401k is one for retirement. A Roth IRA is another one for retirement. A 529 is one for kids for education. A HSA is a health savings account. It's an investment account for health expenses or medical costs. So if you already know you're somebody that has serious medical needs, you might want to start putting a little money in a health savings account, because the money that grows in there will not get taxed if you use it for medical purposes.
That's
so
cool.
It's a great way for you to not have to be taxed on money as long as you use it for your qualified medical expenses. So at the end of the day, learn about what are all the different types of investment accounts, and then which one fits what I need. Like right now, I'm very healthy, I'm fit. I don't have a history of negative medical stuff in my family, so I don't have to force myself to put a bunch in my health savings account. But I know I want to retire soon. I don't want to be working until, like my grandparents and my parents had to, backbreaking labor in their 70s, So I already know retirement is a priority for me. So I put as much as I can in my 401k, and I max out my Roth IRA every single year.
Through Fidelity or Vanguard?
Yeah, so I have multiple. So my 401k is with Vanguard, and then I have another account with Fidelity where I open my niece's Roth IRA. So you can also open these accounts also for kids. Anybody under 18, the name of the account would just have the word custodial in front of it. So custodial brokerage account, custodial Roth IRA. That means that the beneficiary, the person whose account is benefiting, is under the age of 18.
Could you do Roth IRA at Fidelity and at Vanguard for yourself?
You totally can. But I wouldn't do that too much, because then you start confusing yourself. Like I would have all the money that goes into a Roth IRA going into one account, one Roth IRA account with one brokerage firm. And then let's say you want to have another account for a different reason. Like maybe you want to put a down payment on a house in 5 years. Then open a regular brokerage account and start putting money in there for your house savings, for your down deposit, down payment. Now, that down payment money is in a brokerage account, let's say at Fidelity. Whereas maybe you have a Roth IRA at Vanguard. But you have different goals with these different accounts. So it's kind of like having a checking account at Bank of America and then having another checking account at Ally or Chase, because you kind of want to keep them in different buckets so you can, this money is for that and this money is for that. So I always have different accounts. It's okay to use different places as well. But if you really want to just simplify your life, just pick one brokerage and just open your accounts there. I always say, you're doing a lot. If you have this account with them, this account with them, you got more usernames, more passwords, more. It's just simplify your life. Choose one good, high quality, full service discount brokerage. The top 3 are Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab. So if you don't just any, mini, money, mo, pick one, open your brokerage account, go with a low-cost fund like a S&P 500 index fund or S&P 500 ETF, and then you start learning more as you go. You can always change the funds. You can always move your money to another investment. But at least starting with something like that is like, if everybody did that when they had their first paycheck, oh my gosh, that would be like my dream come true.
So I'm listening to this podcast. I'm a listener. I don't have $100,000 in savings.
Right.
I don't have $50,000 in savings. I don't have $20,000 in savings. Maybe I got a nice job.
Yeah.
And I want to start thinking about saving. It can be overwhelming. There's your videos. There's other people's videos. It's like, is my only knowledge to search a video, or is it worth it to start financial planning with a financial planner if I have little or just normal amounts of money? Because I think when we think of financial planning, it's like I'm
for the rich.
I've got mad cash. I need to if I can't put it all on my yacht, I got to put it somewhere else.
Well, historically, that's how it has been. Generally speaking, if you wanted to work with a financial planner or wealth manager, you had to have a certain net worth, so $250,000 minimum. So that's why, like, people don't just say that, oh, it's for rich people. There's a reason why they believe that. There's a reason why the industry has that reputation. And it's a bad stain because it means that everyday people weren't able to access the assistance of a financial planner or a wealth manager. It was specifically reserved for the wealthy. And so I understand why a lot of times my own community, my friends, my family, like, they'll be like, they have that disdain for finance.
There's also shame about, imagine going to someone and saying, I have $10,000, but I would like to do something with it.
100%. I don't know what to do. Or even just the fact that all I have is $1,000 right now. And I'm even glad I have that, right? Or I have no cash savings. I have a bunch of debt. At the end of the day, there's everybody under the moon calling themselves a financial professional. So we have to be very careful with this. I am very passionate about if you want someone to coach you and help you, you have to make sure they are an advice only, fee only, okay? Advice only, fee only, fiduciary, advisor or planner. Why do these words matter? Let's start with advice only. There are people who will take your money, put it in an account for you. You are separated from your money and they're going to manage it for you. I think you can already see why I wouldn't like that. Why would I not like that? Advice only means they're going to tell you what you need to do with your money. They're not going to take your money.
Don't tell me the password.
Honey, that. So they're going to be like, all right, boom, boom, boom. This is the account you need to. So advice only, huge for me, because why am I going to hand you all the cash? I'm working so hard. And if you're doing shady stuff, I mean, look, at the end of the day, advice only for me is huge because you should know what to, you should be the one clicking and doing the things with your money. You don't avoid your money. You should do it. And then fee only is that there's people that take a percentage. It's called AUM, assets under management, which means as your account grows, as you grow profits and you grow investment gains over time, they take a percentage of all of that. So the dollar amount that they collect every year is different. That's really weird. Imagine you were going to therapy and this session for your therapist was $40, but then the next session is $80. And then the next session is $150. And it's like, why the hell is your fee changing every time I come see you? Oh, because it's a percentage of your wealth. And as your wealth grows, the dollars that make up that percentage is more, right? 8% of $1 million is much more than 8% of 50,000. Yeah. So even though they charge you a flat percent, even if it sounds low, like 1%, I hate that model, and I think it's the way historically has always been, but it's starting to shift. We're starting to move to a fee-only model, which I love, which means you know the flat fee up front. Hey, you sit with me for an hour, my fee is $200 for that. Just like a therapist, Cool. So advice only, fee only. Fiduciary is an oath that financial professionals have to take. It's kind of like the Hippocratic Oath. Like when you're a doctor, you have to take the Hippocratic Oath that you're going to do everything you possibly can do in your power to save the life of the person that you have in front of you, right? That's with finance, the fiduciary oath is that you are going to do everything possible to benefit the client's best interest financially, not your own personal best interest financially. So a quick example. If you're not a fiduciary advisor, you might say, you know what? I got this really good fund over here. It's an actively managed fund. The active manager is a friend of mine. He's really great. They make a lot of profit every year. Every client that you sign up for this fund, you get a percentage, or you get a free vacation, or you get a trip to Disney with your family if you can get 10 new clients in the fund this year. That to me just reeks of the same shady business as like telling you that the stock was $10.50, but really it was $10.40. Anything that's
super Ponzi like.
Oh my gosh. Anything that's like this lack of transparency, like I hate that stuff. And the industry is riddled with it. That's why so many of us, we just don't even want to talk about this stuff. It gives us this icky feeling. And it's like, because it's been icky for decades. But we're starting to see some change. And the more we talk about these things and teach more people to talk about it, the more we can actually put words to it. Like when you're in a meeting with somebody and they're like, so are you ready? You go, well, I have a question. Are you a fiduciary? If they go, well, you know, the way I make grab your purse and run, honey. That's not a person you want to do. You want talking to you. You need to make sure they say, yes, I'm a fiduciary. Also, I'm advice only, I'm fee only, right? These things matter. So actually, I have a really good friend who creates content on social media at Personal Finance Club, and he created a business. He's successful financially. He sold a company. He's doing well, and he wanted to create something to help people find advice only, fee only fiduciaries. Cool. So it's Nectarine, Hello Nectarine, and you can go online, just look up Nectarine Financial Planners. You can pay $150, $200, and you can sit with somebody virtually on Zoom who is not taking your money. They're not selling you nothing. They're just there to give you the advice that they are qualified to.
But during that advice session, you're coming honestly with you have to say,
yes,
I have this kind of debt. I have this kind of cash, liquid.
Yeah, this is my debt. This is what I have in savings. Or, hey, I have no savings. This is my debt situation. How do I pay this debt off? This is how much I make. You know, this is everything that I have to spend money on. And then be honest. And sometimes you even hit that screen share button in Zoom and you share with them, hey, look, this is my 401k. Which one of these? I don't even know what to click. What should I click in here? What does this mean over here? What is that? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, look. So if you click that one and so that is the kind of guidance that I love, because it's like you're learning so that one day you don't need to pay them anymore. But the kind of people who require you to keep, they don't teach you. They won't teach you, because if they teach you, you don't got to pay them no more. So you'll leave. So those are the kinds of people that I don't like. They're not fiduciary. They're usually agents or, you know, financial professionals, but they don't really have any other licenses or credentials or certifications. So for me, I always look for CFPs that are fiduciary. And again, if you're working with somebody who's going to give you advice, make sure they're fee only. That's the big thing.
Therapy is a great analogy because, one, how much of our trauma is wrapped up in money.
All of it. Most of it.
And you shouldn't be in therapy forever. Like, a good therapist is like, yo, you've graduated.
That's the goal.
For now. If you got to hit me up again, hit me up again.
Life happens,
let's chat
things
about
come
it.
up, catastrophes. But the goal is to graduate you, right? So isn't it weird? I meet people and they'll be like, yeah, I asked my financial person, like I asked him, you know, how does this work? And like, he just kind of like changed the topic, like brushed me off, or didn't really explain it. I don't know. And I'm like, that's because they want to keep you. So you need to leave. You need to find someone who's willing to teach you. The whole goal is for them to teach you so that you can then say, damn, I actually get it. Now I can teach more people. Each one teach one, right? Like, that's so powerful.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Is all this in the book?
Yes. So my book is called Mind Your Money. And it is literally the most, like, you already know because you wrote Brown Enough, but like, it's a labor of love. Like, I spent COVID pretty much writing the outline, the ideas, and then my partner and I, Jamil, he helps me so much tremendously with like all the things I'm doing. But he was like, why don't you just like put the stories in there? Because you're always telling stories. You always got like these things that are like really insightful from things that happen to you. And I think that helps people stick to what you're teaching. So I was like, you know what? It's true. It can't just be strategies that have helped me. It's going to be stories and strategies. So every single lesson is coupled with a story, right? So investing is the story of my dad and how he was not prepared to retire and how we had to step in, but now I'm making sure that I am. So this is the way I invest. Debt, right? The story of how when I was in college, I got my first credit card on campus and I went buck wild. Like, I was like, I buy everything. I thought I was J-Lo. Every weekend I had to have a new outfit. I couldn't be seen with the same dress. I already wore that one. And those shoes, I already wore them to a party. So I had to buy new things. So it was at that point where I was like, okay, if I don't change my mindset, my behaviors, like what I'm actually doing and how I think about money, I'm never going to have any money. So I ended up graduating college with like $20,000 of credit card debt, ridiculous, spread across 4 different credit cards. And some of it at first was like, legit, like, okay, textbooks and a laptop, right? And then it was like the trip to Cancun and like, okay. How quickly you see how easy it is to just put it on the cart, put it on the cart. And the crazy thing is now, and I talk about this in my book, technology is supposed to help us to make life better and easier. It's also making life worse by making things
Easier to
easier
spend money.
because it's easier to spend. So Apple Pay, this Pay, the Google Pay, Samsung Pay, tap my watch. Actually, crazy story, my niece was like, Tia, I really want to get an iPhone. I'm like, baby, she was like 8 years old. I'm like, maybe you're 8 years old. When I was your age, I was playing with Barbie dolls. Like, why do you need an iPhone? She's like, because then I could buy anything that I want. My mom, the way she buys stuff, she was tap, tap, tap on the phone. So the idea of what is money, the next generation is literally like so disconnected from the concept.
I mean, on a spiritual level, like energetic level, I'm like, we haven't touched it. And so it's so crazy if someone says Venmo me and you just send this
digital
number.
amount, yeah.
Like, it's like, I'll send you my number to your number. Like, let's send numbers to our numbers. So yes, there is a weird
the more they can
disconnect.
distance and disconnect you from that money, the less it becomes even a real thing for you. So then it's like, yeah, whatever. You can separate me from these numbers. They're just numbers in a computer.
But on the other hand, I think that's really powerful for investing for communities who think they're not capable. Like, when there can be a level of what I think some communities have had for a long time, where it's like it's a little fun to watch it grow, to water it here, to let it go, to not grip it so tightly.
Yeah.
When we can sort of have that sort of energetic relationship to it, I think some flourishing can happen.
Yeah, but it's scarcity, right?
Yeah.
The reason we don't want to let it go, and that scarcity mindset is not irrational. It's very rational for two reasons, right? One is because you have come up probably in a home and in a family where money was so scarce. Like, the resources all around were scarce. There was a certain amount of food. There was a certain amount,
There were arguments about it.
and there were fights, right? So like, if that's your lived experience with money, I mean, come on, it's natural and rational for you to view money from a place of like, I just gotta put it in my pocket when I have it. I just gotta keep it in the bank when I have it. Like, I can't risk losing it. And then the second piece is because of the actual factual characteristic of all money, no matter what kind of money it is, which is that it's limited in quantity. All money is actually scarce. Like, if the money that we had was not scarce, it would be useless.
No value. Yeah.
It would literally be useless. So we have to understand, even when we think about like abundance mindset, stop thinking that money's scarce. No, there's money for all of us. It's like, yes, but at a certain point, we get to the other end of the spectrum. It's like, oh shit, like there's actually a limited amount of money. So we have to operate from a knowledge that like everybody's not going to be like that with money. And so we have to work with people to slowly inch their way to a place where they have a healthier relationship with money. And the way they think about it is like, hey, when I make certain investments, when I learn how things work and I have a trust in this system and how it operates, and I know what will happen if I keep adding small amounts of money over a long period of time into tried and true low-cost investments, not some scammy stuff, scammy things, then that is a liberating feeling because it's slow and over time. But the reality is this is not supposed to be some fast car, sexy thing. Like, this is supposed to be happening in the background while you live your life that's really, truly meaningful. Like the relationships that you have, the connections that you're making, the impact that you're bringing to the world, the work that you're doing that's meaningful for you. Those are the things that when people are on their deathbed, they don't go, oh, yeah, I wish I had made more money. No, what the hell? No, but they're like, it's the relationship.
I wish I loved more.
I wish I had been
present
I
more.
wish I had cried more. I wish I'd been honest more. I wish I had hugged my loved ones more. I wish I was honest with the people that I care more. Like, those are the things that actually matter in life. Focus on that and let the money stuff happen in the background.
There's something about love and money in relation to movies. Like, people have a hard time being in relationship because movies don't show you the work that relationship involves.
Yep.
Like, they show you the falling in love and the falling out of love.
Yep.
And it's just like...
Or the happily ever
It's
after.
the big moments,
Yeah.
Not like take out trash Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like be bored on Tuesday. And the same is with money. Like, there's no movie where someone's like regularly investing small amounts so they can
That's just
retire
not sexy.
peacefully. It's like, I lost all my money. I've got to make this much by Friday.
Yep.
Or I've got to get rich this way.
Yep.
Or I've got to make this big investment that's going to, the company's got to go. And the media is so wildly powerful. It's what I do most of my work in. Like, it's powerful in a beautiful and dangerous way. Yeah. So we do have this disconnected relationship that we can't be wealth.
Yeah.
We have to get rich.
Yeah.
And those are different relationships. I think those words, wealth and rich.
100%. And also, I would say, like, sit with those words, right? Like, every year around New Year's, I try to do this reflection where I'm like, what actually does wealth mean for me now? And when I was, 18, 19, 20, wealth for me would have meant the things that wealthy people tend to have. It would have been like a yacht. It would have been like a private jet. It would have been a mansion. It would have been like, having a private chef and a masseuse that lives in the house with me and a nanny if I have kids, right? And the biggest wedding ever. Like, those to me were things that were wealth. Now I understand that that's not wealth. Those things are status symbols. They serve a purpose to shoot signals to other people around you of your status in society. Like, look at me.
And likely when you have them, you're going to need more of them.
You only want more and more and more and more. It's just a natural human. It's the downfall of humanity. Is we're greedy, right? So that's a never ending, just like pot of like rot. Like, you don't want to be in that world. Now, of course, some people like luxury things and nice things, and that's fine. But everything is within reason. Wealth has to be defined for you of what it is that truly means something for you. That's not physical things that you can touch. And now for me in my 30s, wealth is time. If I can wake up and I can decide what am I doing with my time today, and that is spent in a way that I will never regret. Maybe it's visiting New York randomly on a whim to go see my nieces and nephews. Maybe it's, spending a weekend with my mom and dad. Maybe it's just taking a Thursday off just because I feel like I need to go to the spa this week and like treat myself so I can get back to where I'm going and like be myself again. Like, those things, that time, I can only afford myself that time if I have wealth, right? So to me, wealth and time are much more strongly correlated than they've ever in the past. Money for me was like getting things, buying stuff, like, and now I have like less stuff than I've ever had, and I'm happier than I've ever been. So the more I've grown, like, my wealth, the more I realize, like, the less crap I need, the more I want to do, the more I want to give, the more I want to be present, the more I want to be able to like spend my time in meaningful ways. So I think as you get older, as you mature, as you start to really find yourself, you have to really sit with the word wealth again. Like, is it really still what you thought it was?
I like that question. What does wealth mean to me now? Which is correlated to a question I was journaling about this morning, and we'll be journaling. I don't have an answer for it, which is, why am I dissatisfied? Like, when I'm dissatisfied,
What's the root?
why am I dissatisfied? Because I can fly wherever I want. I can't buy I could, but I don't want to. The $65,000 horse mattress. I don't know if you know about that. The horsehair mattress.
Ridiculous, yes. I saw it on TikTok. I was like,
It's the only thing where I'm like, what in the world? I have to sleep on it once. I'll go to a hotel where it has one.
Well, you could test it. Yes.
Yeah.
I support that.
But like, why am I dissatisfied? And I think there is a relationship to, what does wealth mean to me? What do I actually want out of this thing? Yeah. Why am I investing all of it? I believe in deep inquiry. Like, do the work to ask the big question. Why are you afraid? Why are you not afraid? Mm-hmm. Why are they so comfortable talking about it? Why can't I?
Right. 100%.
Yeah. Why am I dissatisfied? You talked about, you wanted to go back to this. We were talking about spending money on coffees.
Yes. Or just like all those little things. Coffee is just like a euphemism for all the things, right? Because I don't even drink coffee. But when I was in my
coffee as euphemism is hilarious.
It is a euphemism for all those little things, which a lot of people call death by a thousand cuts.
For me, it's liquids.
Any liquids.
I spend so much money on liquids.
Soda, drinks, all.
I could probably, I should set a liquid
budget. Yes.
Yes. I wish my phone could actually just take out liquids from the grocery. I just want to see.
Well, what you could do is have
account
one credit card that you only use for liquids. And then at the end of the year or at the end of the month, you will see.
I would love to see my liquid.
Yeah, separate. So I have
coconut water, smoothies.
Look, I have a couple different credit cards. If I were you, I would take one of them and put a Post-it on it and said liquids. Anytime I write liquids, I have to use that credit card. And I have to force myself to do it so that I can see, separate it. But so the reason I say coffee is a euphemism is because all these people that like to go on the news, pundits, financial people, they like to say like, if you just cut that coffee, that latte,
that is the line.
And it's the thing, it's the line. But look, when I was in my 20s, I was a shopaholic. It wasn't coffee for me. It was random shit. Like I would go into CVS and I would come out with nail polish, lotion, or random stuff, a candle. It was like I just had to buy something so I could feel better. So I don't know what the heck it was, right? Later on, I started realizing I freaking absolutely was depressed. And the one reason why I could have a little pick-me-up was because I bought something, right? That little treat. And it's not even the same as like going home and making yourself a sandwich. No, it had to be, I had to buy it, to take it out the bag when I got home. Like, it was this experience, this little ritual of buying stuff I convinced myself that there was some joy in that.
You know, there's a lot of courage to say that out loud. Like, a lot of people probably do this. They go into a Target for one thing, they leave with 15 things.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of courage for someone listening to say, oh, that's me.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even realize that was me. But I read this book called Susie Orman's Women and Money. Susie Orman's the author, Women and Money. And I was probably like maybe 24 years old. It was the first book I ever read about money. I was in a Duane Reade about to pay for all the crap that I didn't need. And I saw like on the checkout counter.
Oh, it's at the Duane Reade?
Yeah, it was literally at the Duane Reade. I looked at the checkout counter. I was like, what is this book? And I picked it up. I started reading it. By the time it was like my turn at checkout, I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy this book. It was $9. That was the best $9 I've ever spent in my life. Because she talked about how to get out of credit card debt, how to actually stick to a savings plan, how to start investing. That was when I opened my Roth IRA. Like, all of these things that I was like, where was all of this information when I was in school for 22 years? Like, what? Like, this is insane. So that kind of frustration is what fueled me to say, like, I am going to get my revenge. They didn't want me to learn this. Watch. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to master it, and then I'm going to teach it. Like, that was kind of what got me going. But for me, that ritual of like spending money, coming home feeling better, but that was a trap. And so in her book, she talks about how you have to actually take all of your spending for 90 days, go and look at every single line. So I printed out my statements for all of my credit cards and debit card. I looked at every line one by one. I took a pink highlighter and I highlighted anything that was clothes and shoes was pink. Yellow highlighter was food and drinks. Green highlighter was entertainment, going out, bars, drinking, hanging out, movie tickets, bowling. And when I looked at that freaking statement, I saw all the stupid little things at CVS, Walgreens, Duane Reade, all the tiny little dumb crap that it was literally eating all my money. And then I'm gonna sit here and go, oh, I don't know how I'm supposed to pay off my credit cards. I never have any money. Here it is. Here's where all your money's going.
Wow.
So I kind of had to like look at the uglier version of myself in the mirror. Not even uglier, but just like not aware version, like unaware version of myself who was just doing things mindlessly. And so I had to really stop being so frivolous and like get serious. And so I looked at my spending. I was like, all right, I'm going to change this. Like, next month is going to be a little better. Then it's going to be a lot better. But it was a process. So I think we have to nowadays be careful with technology. There's good aspects.
Like,
one click buy.
It's just a thought bubble pops in your mind. And you go, does it exist? It does exist. And then you can have it.
And then you press one click and
tomorrow.
You buy it. It's coming tomorrow. Like that. So that's the dangerous side of it. The beautiful side of it is that you can also do that with automating your savings and automating your investments.
Yeah.
So I go into all of my accounts. I look at it. I'm like, okay, my check hits on the 15th, or, this brand partnership money is coming in on December 1st. Boom. What I'm going to do is automate a transfer out of my checking account into my high yield savings account. Once I hit my savings goal, let's say for me, it was 6 months of savings. I wanted to have 6 months of rent, groceries, bills, everything just sitting in a high yield savings account. And that's different from a regular savings account because the interest that they give you is way more in the high yield savings account. So if you're listening and you're like, but I have a regular savings account at PNC, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America,
that's
Chase.
Whack.
That is wiggity whack. You need to get out of that regular schmegular savings account and go to a high yield savings account. Most of the best ones are going to be online, but any high yield savings account that's close to 4% right now is good. And so that was like my first big goal. Once I hit that 6 months of savings in that account, I automated the money. Instead of going into my savings account, it would automatically transfer into my brokerage account. So that's when I started investing. I hit my first $10,000 in my investment account. I was like, I'm gonna double this. Hit my 20. I was like, I'm gonna hit 100. When I hit 100K, I was like, I literally have 6 figures sitting in an investment account. I could use this money for anything. And I was like, nah, I want to double it. I want to hit 250. Okay, now I want to hit 500. I want to see $1 million in my, like, that can only happen when you, first of all, you believe it's possible, and then you actually start small amounts, right? I started with $25 per page, $50 paycheck. Then I was like 100. And then I was like, what can I cut that I could take that money and invest it instead? So then you start looking at your habits, and you start looking at your check, and you start looking at things differently. Do I really need to buy this? Do I really need, like, I kind of have a different relationship with things now. Like, when I'm looking at stuff, I'm like, I could spend $80 on this, or I could put $80 into my investments. Like, cool.
I try to put 15 to 30% of everything I make.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing.
In something.
But if everybody
when
did
everything
that,
I make, I don't even mean like, if I make $100, I like, it's like not even just because big checks. It's like,
that's what it is. It's just like it's a habit, right? It's like when you wake up in the morning, you don't decide, am I going to brush my teeth today? It is just what you do. When money comes at you, even if it's $1, you don't ask, am I going to save some of this? It's what you do. If you become that kind of person, there's no doubt in my mind that you will retire with dignity and have wealth in your life. The problem is so many of us go, should I save some of this? Or should I treat myself? I could use my income tax refund to pay off my credit card, but I could also use it to buy a flight. Like, it's like we do that with ourselves. We play these little mind games and just mental gymnastics when really, if there was a little camera recording every decision that you made for everyone in the world to see, what would you do? You would do the right thing, right? So just do the right thing. So much easier said than done, though.
I'm still in your question, what does wealth mean to me? And at this moment, I'm thinking what it means to me is to always have enough resources to see and make art.
I love that.
And like see art means I want to see things that I want to see a movie.
Yep.
And I want to go see a play without thinking about the cost of the play.
Yep.
And I want to go see great art at a museum. And if that means I need to go fly to see this artist,
that comes with it.
Yeah. To me, I will always be able to see art and make great art, which means I get to pay people who are part of the art I'm making.
That's right.
And because pay artists.
Pay them fairly.
As we start to wrap up, you seeing that book in Dwayne Reed makes me think of Follow Me Here. Shaquille O'Neal has a bunch of shoes in Payless. And I saw him in an interview, and he said, no, my shoes are not at Nike Town, and they cost $30 versus $220. Yep. And he says, I have put my shoes on millions of children who cannot afford other shoes. Yep. And you seeing a book at Dwayne Reed is like, damn, we should have our books in Walgreens.
Yes, CVS.
That's so.
That's where everyday
what a beautiful
people
flex.
Stop and shop, right? Yeah, you're
right.
How
do I do that? How do we do that?
I didn't even think about that, but that's such a good point.
How do we do that?
Damn.
You know what's there? Romance novels.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And like the little biblical verses calendar for 2027. Like, it's like, look, all those things are great.
Who do we have to call? Dwayne Reed. Listen, Dwayne Reed doesn't exist anymore, does it?
In New York, I think only.
Walgreens,
CVS.
Call us.
Listen, we're gonna make
putting
this
your books on
everywhere.
That's
where we need to put the books where the people are.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The fact that you saw a book there that did that.
Really, I was crying in my room trying to figure out how the hell am I going to pay all this credit card debt? Because I finally one day sat down and added up all the credit card bills. And I was like, this is insane. It's $20,000. I was only making $40,000. Like, I was like, what? How did I let it get this bad? And so then that week, after having that experience, I saw that book. And I was like, I'm a woman. And I'm literally crying in my room about money. Women and money. Like, let me see what this book is about. So sometimes I feel like there's things where it's like the clouds part and it's like, oh. Like
I think we have those moments more in our life than less. We just have to have the courage to listen and the stillness to receive.
Yes. Listening to this podcast right now. I know for a fact there's listeners that are like, I want to receive this. I know I need this. My finances. No, but. Like, if you need to DM me, Miss Be Helpful, literally everywhere. So like, just talk about it, be about it. Like, it is the hardest thing is taking that first step.
That's the next question. Are you coaching? How do they contact you? Mm-hmm. Is it just watch your stuff? Is it like, can I work with you? What's the deal?
Yeah, and so I have a very limited spots for working with people just because of crazy schedule. But if you go on my website, missbehelpful.com, MISSBE, helpful with one L at the end, go scroll down, there's a little calendar and you can choose to do a Zoom with me. It's like a little bit over $200, so similar to a therapy session. Very limited slots though. What I would say though is get the book. It's $15 on Amazon, right? Or go to wherever you support better than Amazon businesses that sell books, and then watch the content. Like, I think for a lot of people, we learn by just like getting all of this stuff slowly over time. It's not like one day in 1 hour I learned everything that I know. Like, that's just not how it's going to be. So listen to podcasts about money. There's so many good ones. Just type in like finance into your podcast app. You're going to see all the top money finance podcasts. Read the book and then read more books about money. There's so many. And on my TikTok and on my Instagram, I post videos where I share all the books that I've read and that I recommend. So like, just go and look at like, what are some books that aren't necessarily those old traditional books about how things used to be in the 90s. Like, no, there's tech tools now, there's fintech, there's modern banking. Like, there's newer books, right? So read some of these more modern books. And then once you're ready, if you really need to talk to somebody, you can book a session with somebody. And I'm the kind of person who is not qualified to sit and give you financial advice, but I can do more what's called like coaching, which is like I can help you create a debt repayment plan. Like I can help you line all your debts up into a spreadsheet. I can help you put them all into a calculator and see how much you have to send every month starting this day and when you'll make your last payment based on your interest rates and your debts and how much you can afford to pay. So it's more so like that mentor that you need to kind of just get the plan going. But if you really want advice, like insurance, tax strategy, investment accounts that you want to open, then you want to do the nectarine. Then you want to sit with an advice-only, fee-only fiduciary advisor who's qualified to really look at all your, your tax stuff, your paperwork, all that, and really give you like a holistic financial plan. But, you got to be mentally ready for that, because that's like the holistic approach it's a lot. So I would say that comes a couple months after you've read the books, you've listened to a couple podcast episodes, you've watched some content. Now you're like, all right, I'm ready. Like, I feel like I'm primed to sit with somebody. I'm not just going to go do it tomorrow when I don't even have like a vocabulary to talk about these things yet.
Holistic is a good word for it.
Yes, holistic.
Anything else? Any questions for me? Anything?
No, I mean, honestly, if y'all have questions, hit me up on Instagram. I do message most of my DMs I respond to within a couple days. And I just love being a free resource. So at the end of the day, if you don't have any money to book or to talk or to buy my book or anything, just start watching the content. It's free. You start learning stuff. And eventually, as you start to mature, grow financially, then you can start to put a set amount of money towards this stuff. But honestly, I think the best advice anybody could give a young person today is if you can read 20 finance books before your 20th birthday. Like if I had done that, 20 by 20 is like this big goal I've been telling all the teenagers and high school and college kids I work with. 20 by 20, you're going to be so dangerous. You're going to be above everyone else in your age group.
And you have the 20 on your website?
No, but I have it on my guide. So if you go to mindyourmoneybook.com and download the free guide that goes with my book, I have all the books listed there. Great. There's more than 20 books there, but you can choose any 20 that you like. And honestly, like, imagine we could give that to every, young black and brown kid that's like 20 by 20. Like, that's amazing. That's like, I wish that for everybody. I wish that for every kid, every teenager, everybody who's just thinking like, how am I even going to know everything that there is to know? Just start reading. The books are out there. Some of them are a little boring and dry, but move on to the next one. Find one that's more enjoyable. That's why I think the podcasts and the videos are good, because it mixes it up instead of just books that read like textbooks, or books like mine, which is very much storytelling. It's not just like, okay, here's what the account is, or this is what this is. So the more you can find the ways that you learn best, just weave it in. Start following financial influencers. So when you start seeing all the trending products and all the actors and actresses and musician stuff, you also see a financial tidbit, So just find ways to bake it into what you're already doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will say that is the one thing about the algorithm. I have trained my algorithm for exercise, movies,
of course,
and meals.
Yes,
to make.
Healthy eating. I love
it. So I know. Yep. So train your algorithm for finances, and it's super quick. If you just start searching, it'll happen in like a day.
Immediately, your For You page and the homepage on Instagram, it automatically you start seeing all this stuff about investments, credit, saving. So and don't just take advice from anybody. You want to go look at their page and make sure, like, if they're just trying to sell you stuff, like that's a little sketchy. But people who are focused on educating, like other people who are, that's why I always tell people, like, I don't really sell stuff, because I don't want that to be the thing. Oh, she's selling this, she's selling that. So I'm just like, look, there's a book, you can go buy it. If you really want to work with me, that's fine. But the reality is a lot of the stuff is just free, because I think it's just like what should be taught in schools anyway. So
true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our time, y'all. I hope you got some gems and nuggets out of this. I know I did. I hope you're saving a little something and opening up some sort of account somewhere. If you have any questions, do not be afraid to reach out to us or reach out to Yanely. Follow her on Instagram at Miss Be Helpful. All right, that's our time. I'll see you next week. Peace.